she's down to go.
Hogan. They need to, like, out of here, okay? That's what you need to do, leave.
All righty. We had the public hearing for the CDBG grant this past week, so we will be moving forth with that. Wait, where am I?
You're right.
All right, okay. Number 5,
We're no up for 9.
yes. Okay, so I'm gonna call that one ready with a question mark. Counselor Caldwell, I'm going to give to Counselor Hogan.
Thank you, President Hudson. I have items 10 through 20, and I have the commissioner here. Why don't we go through these? Yes. This is for you. I see you have the number 10, you have the greenhouse improvements. You know, I think we talked about this as far as the capital improvements go. So thank you, former Counselor Maroon. Former Counselor / sound technician Maroon. Any questions on 10, item 10, regarding the greenhouse? Any questions on 11? We have then we have the bond ordinance, and that includes Eastwood Skate Park phase, correct? Okay.
Commissioner, do we have any idea how the $200,000 from Senator May, where are we with that, getting the money for the skate park?
Actually, skate park is on the way. We needed $50 additional $1,000 for the design. That's what is at council right now. Item number 13. So that 200,000 is rolled into that 50. Total project is 250,000 for the second phase of the skate park.
And have they indicated when that 200,000 will be released from DASNY, or we don't know yet?
As far as I know, we got the GDA for that.
Okay.
But I can confirm after the meeting. Council.
Thanks.
That includes 13, of course. 14 is we're accepting money from for $500,000 for the, and why don't you elaborate a little bit about this playground, if you could, Commissioner?
Absolutely. Tony Williams, Commissioner of Parks. Good afternoon, councilors, Madam President. Item number 14 is to accept a grant from New York State. This was a grant that the Downtown Committee applied for. It's for a downtown playground, which will be located on West Jefferson behind the Most. They got the grant from New York State, and New York State wants the grant to be transferred to the city of Syracuse since we are the property owner. This letter is simply just indicating that we are receiving the property from, receiving the grant from the Downtown Committee, and it is being transferred to the city of Syracuse. This grant is a match, $500,000. The estimated budget for this project is $750,000 currently, and it's a match.
So we have $750,000 in next year's budget to complete this park at some point in the next couple of years?
Well, I'll say this, Counselor. Prior to me, this was planned, but this is a grant that's on the table for $500,000 for a park downtown. So if we have to find the money, we will in this instance, considering that I'm new commissioner as of 6 months ago, and this was planned prior to me. But I would not want to let this grant go.
Oh, I agree with you. Since redistricting has included downtown in my council district, I'm totally in favor of that. No, I obviously downtown has become a neighborhood with families. You know, you see that on the weekends a lot of times with children and their families. And so I think this is much needed, although the location is, I have a little question about the location, but it's been.
And I'll add that the Downtown Committee has been working hard on this, and they're still working for additional funding from outside sources.
That's the question I was going to ask when you talk
Absolutely.
about the local match. Is the Downtown Committee prepared to provide that local match?
I don't think they have the current capacity to provide that match, but they are providing the footwork to find a complement to the match. There's a couple of local entities that they're reaching out to that seems promising.
Can I jump in here? The local match was identified in the application agreement from a specific account. So if it was identified, then it's already somewhere in an account. I could have put the account number down, but I just didn't think I needed to.
And that's okay,
Yeah.
but because I'm just curious, because I'm just asking this question because the downtown committee is the one that pushed for this park.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was just curious to what they were gonna contribute to the city taxpayer match.
You know, I think it's a good question too, and of course there'll be maintenance and all that for obviously a new park too, and I think you could probably work with the downtown committee to put that under their purview as far as maintaining the park.
Absolutely, and I have some more digging to do on this, honestly. There was an extensive, amount of planning prior to my arrival at Parks. The reason why I'm bringing this forth today is because the New York State reached out and said that this grant has to be transferred immediately or it will be canceled. So it came a little earlier than I was prepared to the council. This is just to receive the grant. We're still, the design phase hasn't even started yet, so we're still early on. This is just to accept the grant on behalf of Syracuse.
So the entire project cost, budget-wise, you said it's 750?
That was the estimated budget that was submitted for the grant application by the downtown committee.
Okay.
Actual estimated budget for this project hasn't been identified yet, but
Okay.
it will become more clear as we engage in the design process.
Okay, so if we have 500,000 and assume that it comes back at 750, it wouldn't be as hefty as it looks, right?
Not at all. So you would just, if it was 750, I didn't identify that number,
Yeah.
but if you just chop it in half,
Yeah.
so we're not paying 500,000, it will be less than that,
Yeah.
depending on the scope of work that we identified during the design phase.
Yeah, so as you look through this, probably let us know as soon as you can what's the total projected cost will be in terms of the budget. That would be great.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Can I jump in again? Joe, would this fall up under the downtown committee expense, anything over the amount, or no? It's just a new project that we just. Okay, all right, cool. All right, cool, all right.
And we're going to build a fully accessible playground there, right? Okay,
Absolutely.
okay, for all abilities?
Absolutely. Accessibility is important to the Parks Department right now, and we're pushing for accessibility in all of our playground designs moving forward.
Well, as I said before, this was, downtown's become a neighborhood, and I imagine we'll be hearing more about this, and if there's any more questions, move on to, if there isn't, I'll move on to 15. This is to accept money from the Central New York Community Foundation. Is there anything you want to say about this, Commissioner, at all?
Yeah, this is a donor that's been supporting the Parks Department for quite some time. These funds right here will be used to kind of utilize the creativity of park staff. This particular donation was for $15,000, so $10,000 of this will be used to furnish the creativity of park staff, and we plan on doing that by requesting proposals from park staff on ideas they come up with to utilize these funds. 5,000 of this will be determined by the Commissioner's office on things that we would like to use it on. As far as tracking what we're using, I plan on opening a live document that all you counselors can, dip into and see what we spend this on, and I plan on keeping you in the loop.
So you mean Commissioner's office, you mean yourself, the Commissioner, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I'm just wondering if you had 3 or 4 other people hanging around the
No, I
office.
said the Commissioner's office in the letter because, my decisions are, also predicated on the Deputy Commissioner, so.
Okay, thank you. And then we have a donation and 16 for the Hughes Pit Crew, God bless them, $85,000 to help us out with our ongoing issues with the different canines in the city. 17 is for, this is the transportation, youth transportation to Hershey Park. And any questions? 18 is this.
I just wanted to give a little suggestion for 16. I'm not sure if you saw the article in the newspaper this past Friday about the Karma Dior pet shelter and grooming, where people are just dropping dogs off at at her door. So I was just wondering if you can take a look at that shelter and maybe some funds can be allocated to them from that 85.
Okay, so this,
Not funds, this is in-kind donation.
Yeah, in-kind, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
material.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what, one of the things she was saying, like she needed donations for food and things like that.
oh, that'd be great. So actually, these donations will be going to all around the city. So I can give that shelter a location for one of the drop-offs.
Thank you,
Absolutely.
Commissioner.
I'll send you the information.
Thank you.
Okay. And then we go to 19, this is for one of our performances at the Rose Day concert, June 15th. If there's any questions. And then payment to various performances, a big rig day on item 20. And if I don't hear any questions from my fellow counselors, I will say all those items are ready. Thank you, President Hudson. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Counselor.
Councilor Majuk.
Thank you, Madam President. I have item 21 and 22, pretty much they are the same.
Chief Kisselstein.
Good afternoon, Council. Rick Kisselstein, Executive Deputy of Fire. These are for repairs of the most recent accident our fire engine was in up on the highway. It was rear-ended. The original cost, the estimate we have right now is $20,000. We ask for more because oftentimes when they start to do these repairs, they find significant damage inside the drivetrain, the axles, and they have big price tags on those. So we try to make sure that we have a cost that's going to cover it all, so we don't have to keep coming back to ask for the little bits and pieces for this.
How soon would the engine be back out?
Pardon?
How soon would the engine be back out?
They're saying months, probably a few months.
Yeah, and I myself, clerk and Madam President, had quite an extensive conversation with the chief, so
Yep.
anybody else got questions on this?
I don't have a question, I just have a comment, because I do get what he's saying, because once you go in with the damage, you don't know what you're gonna come out with. But I'm gonna say, I asked this question, which I know what the answer is, but I want everybody to know what the answer is. So if it does not exceed the 75,000, it goes back into our,
Absolutely.
what is that thing called? General fund. And also, I want it to be known that you're not just coming to the council asking for the 75,000 because you're seeking insurance reimbursement as well.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. This is a relatively new thing we haven't done very much of, so we're still kind of working out the kinks of it. But yeah, thankfully, we
So
don't
if
have
the
to take
insurance
this out of.
reimbursed for the whole amount, everything comes back to the city, correct?
It depends on how much insurance and how bad the repairs are, but yeah, we'll get as much as we can out of the insurance company, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Council President, the bond might don't get issued if they don't need that, if they don't need the money, and then it won't be, money being transferred here and there.
Thank you.
No questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
The shortest I ever did.
Oh, my God.
Come on now.
Counselor Givens.
Councilor Majok.
Doing good.
Thank you, Madam President. I have items 23 through 25. Items 23, I was told that this is for Flowbird, to amend it to add them to the list of vendors. It was stated that there was some questions about Parkeon, but to my understanding, Flowbird bought out Parkeon, and that Flowbird is going to be providing the parts and programming for our city meters, and that all other maintenance that we require on our meters will be done in-house with our staff. Is that correct, Chief?
That one down. Corey Driscoll Dunham, Chief Operating Officer. That's correct. Yeah, the repairs made to the parking meters are done in-house.
Okay. And how are we doing with our parking meters so far?
We're doing okay.
I saw that there was an article or a news thing about, I think the city auditor did that about the.
Parking report? Yes, it was
Yeah.
not specific to the meters, but
Okay.
lots of other very helpful recommendations that, we will be working on.
All right. And
And the question that I had asked earlier, So I know that Flowbird is taking over Parkion,
Yes.
right? And you stated, we both know that we had issues with Parkion and parts from the beginning. So we don't see any of that taking place, and we see Flowbird being able to take over Parkion's equipment without any problems?
Correct. Yes, we don't anticipate any issues. You know, when we switched over to the new meters, we did have a couple issues with printing the tickets. There was a device that, for whatever reason, was not working in the cold weather. They came, they replaced those. We haven't had the widespread issues that we've had with parking meters, so we're confident that everything's in good shape.
And I know you don't have a crystal ball, but let me ask you this, because as long as I've been here, I've seen the change take place. At some point, will Parkion basically be extinct? Will they move out of the way and Flowbird will be moving into another phase?
You mean a phase away from parking meters?
Away from Parkion, because I know the technology continues to change.
Yes, I think Flowbird will be the one that we deal with going forward.
Any other questions? All right, we have item 24 is in regards to allocating money to a specific vendor that specializes in that asphalt plant maintenance. The money would be used for the purchase of plant repair parts and also the mandatory radiation testing that we have. Is this company somebody that we used before, or?
Yes, so this is just the asphalt plant that's located at DPW. So, you know, we are in a unique position that we operate our own asphalt plant, but these are the necessary items to keep it operating this construction season.
Okay. Any questions in regards to our asphalt plant?
Of course, I should ask this earlier. Are we using our asphalt plant to full capacity at this point?
So I think it's an ongoing conversation. I think probably the short answer is no. But, you know, as there's been a lot of discussion about the asphalt plant, whether we should keep it, whether we should contract with somebody else to operate it, you know, we've tasked the DPW team with, if we decide to keep it, which I think there are a number of compelling reasons to keep it, especially as we head into 81 construction and the demand for asphalt is likely to go up. And so for us to be able to control our own fate in terms of asphalt, I think is something we can't dismiss. We need to look at upping that capacity in the asphalt plant. So it's absolutely something that's on our radar, President Hudson.
Okay, and if we up the capacity, does that mean that we would sell asphalt to someone else?
I know that's always been kind of the initial plan when the asphalt plant was built. And so I think it should be something that we should revisit, particularly given that the demand for asphalt we anticipate is going to increase in the coming years.
Councilman Manto?
President Hudson asked my question.
Okay. Any other questions in regards to this? All right, and thank you, Corey. Or, excuse me, Chief. Thank you, Chief. I appreciate it. Now we have Merriwood Engineering in regards to the CSX transportation.
Yes. Good afternoon, councilors. Mary Robison, city engineer. This item is related to our DPW traffic signal interconnect project. We need to run an overhead aerial fiber optic cable over the CSX railroad crossing on Midler Ave between Erie Boulevard and Canal Street. The railroad owns the right-of-way where those railroad tracks are, so this is a facility encroachment agreement with CSX so that we can run the fiber optic cable over the railroad tracks. And we have to pay a fee of $2,750, one-time fee.
Any questions regarding this? Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate it. Madam President, I'm all set. Oh, actually, I'm not. 26 and 28. You want me to get this, or you want?
You want me to take this?
Sure, if you
or-
want, that's fine.
Thank you,
I'm all
Councilor
set, President.
Gathers. 26, 27, 28, and 26, we're authorizing type 2, right? Correct?
Yes. Item 26 through 28 is regarding the SDC and the design work for the site infrastructure. So the roads, utilities, trees, street lighting, that sidewalks, bikeway, that type of thing. So 26 is the seeker for the design work, which is a type 2 action, so no impact. And item 27 and 28 are the bond ordinance and project authorization for the design work at a cost not to exceed $325,000.
Mary, obviously, we'll do a full environmental assessment after
Yes.
the building's down.
Yes.
And that's why this is only a type 2, because this is just design.
Correct. And we're part of, we're using CNS for this work, and part of their scope will be doing the environmental review.
Okay, because I think I'm still somewhat confused about what is under us as far as public infrastructure and what will be the responsibility of the developer.
Our public infrastructure would be in the road or right-of-way that we are going to own. So we are going, right now it's proposed, we're going to own the entrance roads off of Wilbur Ave, and then like the major ring road.
We never owned those roads before, did we? I don't remember them. They were part of the
No.
state. The state maintained them and all.
Yep. But the developer would own all the parking areas and
What about
anything off.
sidewalks?
If it's in the right-of-way, we will own it.
It'd be great if we could have like maybe an outline exactly what we're going to be doing and what they're going to be doing. You know,
Okay.
it's fine. And then as far as why would we bond for this? Why wouldn't we charge this that 29 million? Because
Well, we're getting bond authorization. I don't think we will bond for it because we are going to be reimbursed with the 29 million from ESD.
so we'll take it out of there.
But we need to have the authorization in place to set up the account.
Okay.
It's like we've done before. I did the same, well, I did cash capital actually on the demo design.
Okay, so so you'll let us know, the finance committee, and
Yep,
all that.
I'm
Okay.
working very closely with finance.
Okay. I think we need to be, especially with this project, I mean, it's been going on for 2 or 3 years, and this is generally, I think we're gonna have to be somewhat flexible in what we plan up there. I think generally we'll do housing, but I think we have to like maybe relook at something down the road here, especially with the, President Hudson and I serve on the housing task force, and there's going to be a report will be coming out about that, and that's going to affect the whole city generally and housing generally, so I think we got to be like maybe a little more flexible than we've been in the past. But this is great, thank you. Anybody have any questions?
My question was, when is the demolition going to begin?
April,
Well, we'll be April next year, okay?
this year,
Oh,
next month.
oh, thank you, thank you.
Demolition.
I jumped ahead.
Demolition,
Good, good.
yep.
Thank you.
We're giving them notice to proceed the end of this month, and they'll start mobilizing probably right after Easter, I think. We don't have a schedule yet from them.
Good.
Yeah, Second District City Councilors expecting tons of phone calls. It's not going to be a silent type demolition, is it? It's going to be pretty noisy up
No,
there, yeah, so. And the truck traffic too, so.
Heather,
That's not Heather.
the outcome will be worth it. What?
do we, in the list of the folks that are doing the demolition, are there one that are very local here at all? Or is-
Ritter and Parator, and they've done a lot of work for the city of Syracuse on our much smaller demolition projects.
Okay,
Codes has worked with them numerous times.
okay,
And they were the low bidder too.
Yes, they were.
Yes.
okay.
That's good.
This is good.
And Mary,
Thank
I'm
you,
not
Mary.
gonna call you Heather, okay? But, which Councilman joke. But let me ask you this question, because I'm big on notifying neighborhoods. So have the neighborhoods being notified that all this noise is gonna take place around the facility?
Aye.
I'm gonna
By
have
Eric
help here.
Ennis at our last Tipperary Hill Neighborhood Association.
Correct.
There's winning ways, let everybody know.
So, good afternoon, Councilor. So, Eric Ennis, Neighborhood and Business Development. So, we had media coverage providing the update on the demolition, but in addition, we've been able to speak at several of the neighborhood association meetings ahead of the demolition work, and then we've also been sharing the information with some of those community leaders to make sure they're anticipating what to expect during the demolition process. The zoo, we've notified as well with their proximity to the site, and then the other thing is that through working with the demolition contractor, we've had conversations about ways to mitigate anything from noise and just disruption to the overall neighborhood. So we're trying to think ahead and get ahead of that, and certainly try to keep the neighbors informed.
And not trying to put a lot of work on you, but you do understand that a lot of folks don't go to these neighborhood meetings.
Sure.
Okay? So I think that, like with everything else, maybe we could put out some kind of door knockers to let these folks know what's coming up ahead of this.
Yeah, so one of the things we'll do then, I'll talk to the communications team and give some more thought to any additional work we can be doing for notification.
Okay, because some people get left out of the whole fray, and then they call us complaining because they didn't know. So.
Sure.
And any information that you have, can you kind of kindly attach it to Nader so he can have follow-up when he
Oh,
does
absolutely.
his
Yep.
minutes?
Yeah, I could definitely make sure going forward. And then one of the things before, as we were getting updated timeline construction schedules, we shared that with the council, and I'll make sure that we continue to keep the council informed.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Okay, hearing no more questions, President Hudson, 26, 27, 28 are ready.
All righty, and now we have Councilor Hogan and Jones-Rouser on 29.
I think
Thank
we're,
you, Madam President.
go ahead.
29? Oh, I'm sorry. Oh,
Okay,
Go
we're ready with this. We've talked
Sorry.
a lot about this.
And we just had the public hearing, so it's out there, it's known, and it's
We're all
ready.
set. I got a confirmation email from the Deputy Commissioner of MBD, so we're
Okay.
good.
Thank you. Councilor Williams.
Thank you, Madam President. Today, I have items 30 through 35.
Good afternoon, Council. Mike Canizero, Commissioner of Finance. So number 30 is an update to the city's investment policy. There haven't been any changes in the investment policy in over 10 years, so kind of the changes we're making are looking to align with New York State law that would allow a couple additional investment instruments. You know, we're not investing in those today, but we're just looking in the changing interest rate environment, looking as those as potential vehicles to invest in the future. Specifically, it's an insured cash sweep account, kind of a CDAR, which is similar to like a certificate of deposit account, and then local government investment pools, which acts like a mutual fund. So currently, you know, we invest in certificates of deposit and T-bills. So as of the end of February, we had about $384 million total in cash. That includes the school district. We have 157 million invested in T-bills. And about 131 million invested in certificates of deposit, and those rates range between about 5% to 5.3%. Fiscal year 23, the general fund had $4.8 million in interest income. Fiscal year 24, we're looking at about 7.1% million in interest to date. Really, just with interest rates, short-term T-bills are the most competitive right now. We're getting 5.3%, so 5-year Treasury notes 4.7%. So it behooves us to continue investing in these short-term securities, whereas a year from now, that could flip. You know, these long-term rates could be higher than these short-term. So really, the investment pool diversifies a lot of local government's funds, so they're doing short-term, long-term, which a year from now is probably going to be a more competitive interest rate than us. Right now, we have a brokerage account that we're investing in these T-bills. So that's our plan for the short term, but, you know, really just looking to add these as interest rates change, which is likely, you know, within the calendar year and additional years. Any questions?
Yeah, I have one question. When you started the very first statement, you said it was a city and a school district. Can you separate the school district from the total 384 million or whatever you quoted?
Yeah, the school district cash balance is $96 million.
Thank you.
So it's been quite an improvement in the last year, as far as $3 million more garnered as far as
So, you know,
interest.
if you're looking to get a mortgage right now, you know, a lot of headaches because the interest rates are going up, whereas if you have a couple $100 million to invest, the interest rates going up has been a positive for us.
Well, I congratulate you on that, really. That's really something.
Thank you.
And as long as we keep on looking for these other vehicles, it's very important.
Yeah, and we're actively managing our cash flow like we haven't before, so.
Excellent.
Commissioner, item 31, 1900 Grant Boulevard, Butternut Street, where in Pacific?
Let's do
We haven't even
it. Jumped
gotten there.
ahead.
We ain't got there yet? Okay, I'm jumping again. Okay. Well, when you get to it, I'll have a question.
You're not up at that yet, Marty.
Okay, all right. When you get up to there.
You're coming.
Here it comes.
Any other questions?
I look at it, go back.
Oh, and then just one other additional change for the investment policy. There's language for telephone solicitation. We get emailed the rates on a monthly basis, weekly basis, so we're just looking to remove that telephone requirement, just 2024. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner.
Items 31 through 33 will be discussed in executive session, which brings us to 34.
I love that type of anticipation for assessments items, but I guess we're skipping ahead to number 34, which is an adventure. These are our standard modifications to existing assessment roles. They are way more complicated than usual, so I'm going to jump out of sequential order and begin with 210 Miles Avenue. This is a former New York State Office of Mental Hygiene owned group home on Miles between, I believe, Dakota and Lenox, or Dakota and Jerome. We got word from the state as they were preparing to sell this property a couple of years ago that the city had been improperly levying our special charges against this property, I believe flushing charges specifically, the cost of the street sweeper that we all pay for if we live on a street with curbs. Got word from law that they generally agreed with this opinion. We needed to go back and reset this so that money held in escrow after the purchaser received a lien notice could be released and they could be made whole. So we're requesting that going back to, I believe, 1993. Yeah, that's the year. Through the 2021 roll year, we correct all those rolls, eliminate those charges, and everything can be made right.
So
Is it
Commissioner, that's
substantial?
Appendix D through
So that would be, I believe, D through J. D through R.
R, yeah.
Longest list that I've dealt with so far.
Properties on different, you found the property, Counselor?
Okay, to move on to the next. Next in sequential order, or out of sequential order, everything from 742 South Krause Avenue down to 726 University and Marshall Street. Those are the properties that make up the Krause-Marshall Special Assessment District, the Business Improvement District over there. Long story short, there was just an Excel arithmetic error this year. Each of those was levied a little bit off, tens to the low hundreds of dollars apiece. We're going to amend this 23-24 roll to make those right. Next.
I'm still stuck on
So,
Miles.
sorry, Councilor Gethers.
I'm just a little puzzled. From 93 up until 2021, we've been charging them.
We levied a charge that we found wholly consistent with how we levy charges. Everybody, from the feds through the state to nonprofits to roll Section 1 taxpayers, pay whether they get a slurry seal on their street or have a sidewalk charge, sewer charge, or a flushing charge. We understood this to be correct. To the best of my knowledge, nobody ever objected. It wasn't until about last summer when this property was set to close, and I believe a lien notice was received by the prospective purchaser that, or I think actually the purchaser, this was post-closing, that this money should have been released. The state got in touch with us and said you shouldn't have issued this charge any of these years. We understandably took issue with that, but ultimately, after our attorney spoke with theirs, it was determined that these were improperly levied.
No question. So the state, they said it was improperly charged, so they weren't supposed to pay for any street cleaning, they weren't supposed to pay for any of that, they were all just exempt from all of that?
DPW runs its sweeper down Miles Avenue. 212 and 208 get the service. 210 gets the service. 212 and 208 pay. The state does not pay for the same service. I'm not going to make a value judgment on that up here with Sue standing directly next to me.
I'm gonna make a value judgment. Everybody is exempt, they're exempt, apparently.
Apparently.
Wow.
They are rightfully wholly exempt, but from charges, that was news to us.
That's interesting, but, all right.
Cross-martial specials, everybody okay with that? Unusual, just a formatting error of some kind.
Once this is done, we're corrected on these tax rolls, right?
That's right, that's right.
Commissioner, were there any that we miscalculated the way that would be in favor of the city?
Framed that way, no. But each pays in to get a defined extra service, you know, as being part of the
It just
bid.
seemed like
So, yeah.
they're all going against us, right?
Sometimes it seems that way. 70509 North Salina Street.
That's executive session,
That's
so
executive
you can't
session.
ask that till Monday.
Okay.
70509 North Salina is a row building. For a long time, it had 2 apartments and a downstairs bar. It now has 1 upstairs apartment and a downstairs bar. It was improperly charged a sewer fee for 2 years after that apartment was eliminated. So we're going to correct, I believe, I'm sorry, for several years, 1920 through 23-24. No, I'm so sorry. 2019 to 2020. No.
I was gonna say, like,
We do not take people's word for it going back to the pre-war era.
Everybody here in 1920?
Well, the Volstead Act was enforced then, which was prohibition, so they would have been against the
course.
law.
I forgot.
Councilor Hogan
was
was going to go
there.
down to the basement with us and pull out those leather-bound rolls
We went
and
without
start
drinks for a
editing.
long time in those days.
So there was 2 apartments and I was 1. Is that
That's right, yeah, and we've confirmed that.
Whose mistake was that?
Well, was it,
They didn't,
was it done properly?
correct, they didn't pull permits, so,
So,
and Gallagher, our first deputy, went over. Well, again,
We gotta pay for,
it's a service they're either receiving or not. With only 1 dwelling unit up there, they really should have only been paying for, I believe, 1.75 sewer units, not the 2.5 that we'd assessed. So it's not how anybody would encourage a property owner to go about making improvements.
so is there anything that we can do to not do that?
Encourage everybody who is moving a wall or eliminating a dwelling unit or creating a dwelling unit to get in touch with our permit staff and do the right thing.
And not trying to be a Debbie Downer, but can't we find them what the cost is gonna be?
I couldn't speak to that.
Joe Barry?
Joe, I'm sorry. I didn't call you this time,
Good afternoon, Joe Barry, First Assistant Corporation Counsel. I think the question is in terms of, you know, you're obligated to get building permits for certain situations, and depending on the timing, if code enforcement finds out in the proper amount of time, they can issue citations. I'm not sure what the time frame was here, and if it's kind of too late to go back in time.
I'm just hoping people moving forward, because we taking a lot of hits for other people's mistakes, so, yeah.
It's kind of 2 separate issues with this sanitary facility and
I get it.
not
but
getting a permit,
But if we
but
got
they
them
one
for
caused
not
the
getting
other.
a permit, guess what? It might offset the sanitation issue.
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you, Joe Barry.
You're very welcome.
The last one is on South Collingwood Avenue. This one's unusual. The Onondaga County Housing Development Fund Company purchased this property, I believe, in '21. This is, as we've discussed a lot, a property that benefits from a shelter rent exemption. Most shelter rent exemptions are enjoyed by entities who create a residential project. We come before council and ask for authorization to enter into an agreement. This is a public HDFC that the county has been using lately to acquire some properties. They pointed out that they should have been wholly exempt since the time they purchased this property, so we're going back to correct that on the roll. It is, to the best of my knowledge, so it's a single-family home that they've acquired. I suspect in furtherance of affordable housing initiatives, but it's not a traditional shelter rent by any stretch. But the exemption that should be applied, because it's a housing development fund corporation, is a shelter rent exemption. They are, by operation of law, entitled to this as an entity set up as an HDFC.
And how long has this one been going on?
Just since 21, 22. I think they acquired it in calendar year 21.
Tax exempts.
I think that's all assessment has today. Have I disentangled that thoroughly?
Yeah.
Thanks, all.
And item 35 is the installation of an honorary sign on the corner of Irving Avenue and East Rayner Avenue in recognition of Coach Jim Boeheim. Coach Boeheim was the head coach of the Syracuse University basketball team for 47 years and has made extensive philanthropic contributions to our community. I do see Ms. Sydney Johnson in the audience today. Ms. Johnson, we'd like to invite you back to our voting session Monday at 1, so you can say a couple words about Coach Boeheim. Thank you.
It'd be nice if Coach Boeheim can be here too.
I'm sure he heard you.
Okay.
That's it, Madam President.
Thank you. Counselor Jones-Rouser.
Thank you, Madam President. I have items 36 through 80. I think it's 80. No. Oh, okay. With 36 being the Children's Rising Center.
Hi, good afternoon, counselors. Sarah Walton, Department of Neighborhood Business Development. So this item is to extend the amount of time that Blueprint 15 has to fully execute their contract using ARPA dollars. When the ordinance was first drafted, we thought that the March deadline would be sufficient timeline, but we're still working through some site control issues for the parcel that will become the future Children Rising Center in partnership with SHA. We expect we're on the timeline to move through those through the end of May, so June will just give us a little bit of cushion. So we ask that you just amend that ordinance and we have some extra time.
Any questions?
What's the projected cost of the entire project? So there's $10 million from the Allen Foundation, 2 from us. What's the gap?
Right now, the contract is about, or for the total cost of development, we're looking about a $24 million.
Okay. Sarah, so the tax credit financing, this is just to confuse us basically, because, I mean, they're in the heading here, because obviously that, we're just talking about one project, we're not talking about the whole housing project, correct?
Yeah, we're just talking about the agreement with Blueprint 15 for the $2 million that you authorized in ARPA funding for the Children Rising
Yeah,
Center.
okay,
Yep.
Because in the, so.
Yep. And it's just to extend the time that they have.
Okay.
Thanks, clerk. Okay, thank you.
Great.
Your turn.
Good afternoon, councilors. Kimone Jordan, Director of Housing and Neighborhood Planning. So I'm before you for items 37 through 80, which is, they're all requests to transfer these properties to the Greater Syracuse Land Bank once the foreclosure process is complete.
You have any you want to pull off or withdraw or any of that?
Nope. Yeah, all engagement has been done, and we've connected, me and Councilor Jones-Rouser, on which properties we'd like removed.
Looks like you've been busy, Kimone.
Very, very, very. Any questions?
37 through 80 is complete. That's great. Phenomenal.
Any questions first?
Before we go on, I'd like to thank everybody involved in this, really. Kimone and MBD, Sue and the law department to get to this point where we can start going back and getting housing over to the land bank, because it's been, ever since the Supreme Court ruling jammed us up for about a year, right, Sue? I mean, it's really been, and I want to, also thank my colleagues here too. So it's been a collaborative effort. Thank you.
Thanks, councilors.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thanks, Kimone.
All righty, Councilor Montos.
Thank you, President Hudson. I have item number 61. This is an agreement with New York State Department of Transportation for us to receive reimbursement for our assistance with the City of Buffalo blizzard of 2022. Commissioner?
Afternoon, Council. Yeah, somehow this landed on my desk. But yeah, this deals with the Buffalo storm from December 2022. Thanks for Joe Barry for reminding me that we can't sign this without council approval. So yeah, just seeking reimbursement for the work that the city provided to the city of Buffalo back in December 2022. So we'll be getting just shy of $70,000. Any other questions
on this one?
I think, yeah, it's
Good. Thanks, Commissioner.
Thank you.
I'm all set, President Hudson.
Thank you. And with that, I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second? Second. Meeting adjourned. I was about to hit it.
I saw that.